So I'm going to go through how you invest recession-proof, guys, because I think this is a pretty cool little concept.
iPad, please, Kevin.
So who's a little bit worried about the marketplace and all of that stuff, and Corona and recession and all that? Who's a little bit worried about some of this stuff out of interest? Okay, give me a yes if that's you.
Yeah, stay very focused. This is a really, really important point.
Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you guys how to invest recession-proof. Okay, and this is how we've built our portfolios, how we teach all of our mentees to build their portfolios, so that even when things don't work out, okay, you know that you're going to be covered. Okay, so you're going to be starting off with a house. Okay, nice and simple. Okay, start off with your house. Okay, and then the purchase price on this house. Actually, let me do this slightly differently. Okay, so the value of the house, okay, is 100K. Nice and simple. Making mistakes. Okay, so it's 100K. And then the mortgage on this, they'll typically give you 75K, right?
So how much would that be? Okay. Oh, you've already done it.
Okay, opportunities will happen. Exactly right, Christine. Okay, so 75K. Okay, now let's just say that the rental that you're getting in this property is £600 a month. Out of interest, everybody in the chat, please write down how many properties you own, how many investment properties you own, just so I know what audience we got to cater to. If you have a lot or a few, like just put 1, 2, 3, 0, wherever, and that's fine. It doesn't matter where you are. It's just so we understand how to cater the presentation. And that's for all of you, please, because it's difficult for us to be able to know where you're at otherwise. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool. Nothing to be sad about, Joanna. We need to start somewhere. Yes, so you'll be able to get the recording afterwards, Anna. Okay, 4, thank you. 2, excellent, thank you. Okay, good. Right. So understand, guys, we're going to be starting with things pretty simple throughout this weekend because we've got quite a few people that are on zero and are just getting involved in property. Okay, so we're going to be starting with the basic, and throughout the weekend, we're going to get more and more complex. By the end of the weekend, so by Sunday, you'll be sitting there going, okay, great, like this is insane, no matter what level your portfolio is. Is that okay for you guys if we work to everybody's level, get everyone on the same page? Are you all okay with this? Let me check. Awesome to have you on there, Savas, by the way. Good to see you, buddy. Okay, yes, awesome. Cool. Okay, so for those of you that currently own property, is it fair to say that £600 a month on a 100K house is pretty reasonable? Okay, certainly achievable, especially in the north. Is that a fair statement? I'm going to check in with you guys. Yes, okay, good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out all of our costs. So this is where I start to go a little bit more in depth into some of our costs. So what are the costs you need to consider? I'm standing in front of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the costs you need to consider? Do you think you just get your rent in every month and that's it? That's your cash flow, or do you think you have a couple of other costs to consider, guys?
Management fee?
Management fee,
yeah.
Yes. So management.
MOE, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Setting management, maintenance, management, insurance, yeah, mortgage.
Okay,
yeah.
so I absolutely love it. So management is obviously your management fee because you're not going to self-manage, are you? Are you? No. Good. Okay, so 10% of 600 equals 60. Okay, then your Mo. Okay, Mo is your monthly operating expenses. Write down Mo's details. He will save your ass. Okay, an important guy to know. Mo, monthly operating expenses. Okay, monthly operating expenses accounts for your maintenance, so your wear and tear on the property, your insurance, okay, and your voids. Okay, so this is any period between a tenant leaves and a new tenant moves in. That is your maintenance, insurance, and voids. Okay, so that typically also accounts for 10%, which equates to 60. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to work out the mortgage cost. Okay, let me stand up. Better. Okay, so now we're going to work out the mortgage cost. Okay, because do you think you're going to have to pay a monthly mortgage fee for the 75K from the mortgage lender, or do you think they're going to be okay with you not paying them? You're going to have to pay them, right? Yeah. They get a little bit pissy if you don't pay. I can tell you now, they're not going to be happy.
No, you don't for 3 months. But yeah.
Yeah, you can get a few months off. Okay, now to work out a mortgage cost, okay, to make this very simple. So what you do is you have the value of the mortgage, okay, and then you times it by the loan to value, so the percentage that they lend you, which is 75%. Okay, which equates to how much? Okay, equates to how much, guys? Come on. Okay, 75K. Exactly. Right. And then you times that by the mortgage interest rate. So the interest rate the bank charges you. Now, would you say a 3% interest rate is a reasonable interest rate and certainly achievable for buy-to-lets in the UK? Would you guys agree, yes or no? Okay. Would you agree that a 3% mortgage interest rate is certainly achievable? Okay, yeah, for sure. Okay, 3% is totally achievable. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, okay, so that's 75K times by the interest rate, okay, which is 3%. And somebody tell me, what is the answer to that? I don't have a calculator, so I'm relying on you guys. Even using SPVs is possible, Tony, sorry. Although, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's still possible. Using SPVs, it depends on where you're from. If you're out of the country, then probably 4%. UK based, you can still do 3%. Not as often, but you can still do it. But yes. Okay. Right. So I'm still relying on you guys for math here. So what is 75,000 times by 3%? Yeah, perfect. Exactly. So same position, Tony. Exactly the same. Okay. So 2,250. Thank you very much, Chen. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Okay.
spot on. The answer is.
And that is basically your annual interest rate. And then how do you figure out your annual interest rate? Monthly.
Yeah, I think we've got an answer there already.
Ah, okay. So 188 you put. So it's £187.50 if I'm not mistaken. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Now for this exercise, because I don't want you guys to get caught up in the granular details, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write off the 50p, okay? Because I don't want you to get too caught up in the granulars. So the mortgage cost on here we're working on is 187. Are we all okay with that, by the way? It's like 2.99% or something. Okay, are we all okay working on that? Yes or no? Yes, okay, good. So what is the cash flow at this point? Okay, what is the cash flow at this point? 600.
Minus 60, minus 60, minus 187.
Okay. And for those of you that are quick at maths, okay, 293, exactly.
Spot on.
Nailed it, love it. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting because let's just say 10 years pass. What is likely to have happened to the value of their property in 10 years' time, guys? What is likely to have happened to the value of their property in 10 years' time? Okay. Doubled, exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means the house is now worth how much? Goes from 100,000 to how much? Okay, 200. Perfect, nice and simple. Okay, so now the value is 200K. And on an interest-only mortgage, what is likely to have happened to the mortgage? Okay, what's the value of the mortgage typically going to be at this point? We're leading somewhere, and I know you're going to go, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's going to be the same. Okay, 75K. Now, in the UK, have rents ever gone down? For buy-to-let, standard residential properties, have rents ever gone down? Since records began, ever?
No.
No, never. Oh, okay. So I'm interested, Tony. Interested in your view. Through all the statistical reports I've ever looked at, is no. Okay, the rents haven't gone down. The rents may have stagnated for a brief period, but the rents don't tend to go down, except maybe in one bespoke area for a brief period whilst it recovers from something major. Okay, yes, I know. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So Aberdeen, although actually the rent stayed very stable in Aberdeen, super rare, but the rent stayed very stable, even though loads of people were struggling because the government stepped in, which was very useful. Okay, but yeah, so rents tend to go up. Now, as a matter of fact, they tend to go up somewhere between 3 and 5% a year as an average. Okay, 3 to 5% as an average. Now, this obviously varies different parts of the country, but that's still going up. But for this exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say it has been the worst 10 years since record began, and the rent has stayed the same. The reason I'm doing this is, again, because I want you to get the concept and not be bogged down by the numbers. Now, 10% of 600 is still 60 and 60. Now, you and I both know maintenance costs would have gone up through time, but so would the rents. Okay, so I'm specifically keeping it this way because I want this to be simple. Now, mortgage rates, mortgage interest rates are based on what figure? Mortgage rates are based on what figure? So the base rate.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Tony, why do I get the feeling you're a mortgage broker? Okay, so it's called the Bank of England base rates, or LIBOR. Okay, is the term LIBOR. Now, fortunately for us, because of the whole Corona thing, the Bank of England have just dropped their base rates. Okay, buy to let down. Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome. I love that. Okay, so the Bank of England has just dropped their base rates from 0.75% to 0.25% to 0.1%. Okay, which technically means anybody on a tracker mortgage will have just saved 0.65% on their mortgage every single month. Okay, so not 0.65%, like 0.65 as an overall percentage, which is insane. Is it easy for the government or the Bank of England to increase that rate quickly? So if they wanted to increase the Bank of England base rate, could they increase it quickly? Okay, it's an important question.
Or will they?
Okay, no. Because if they do, that basically means everybody's mortgage payments go up. Okay, everybody's mortgage payments go up. Not by a little bit, by a lot. Okay, if they increase it, it goes up quite substantially. And what do you think is likely to happen to a lot of homeowners if their bills start to creep up pretty quickly because of Bank of England base changes? What is likely to happen to them and their house? Okay, and it's a useful question. Exactly, repossession. Okay, so this tells you that if the government starts to do that, they will create a financial downturn, and they know that. They're well aware of that. The only time they've been on record doing that was in 1980, I think 1981, 1982, something like that. Okay, and when they did that, okay, that was the government that was in control of the Bank of England base rates. The bank then took control of the base rates back again because they no longer trusted the government to do it. So that's unlikely to happen again. So that means, in all likelihood, the Bank of England base rate will be very similar in 10 years' time. Is that a fair statement? Okay, is that a fair statement, guys? It'll be very similar. It won't be massively different. Is that a fair statement, guys? Let me check in. Yeah, because they're not going to forcefully push the whole country into financial downturn. It would just be stupid. Okay. So that means I'm going to put the mortgage in. So let's just say it's going to be the same. Obviously, it'll be similar, but let's just say it'll be the same for exactly the same reason I'm not showing the rents going up. So what is your cash flow at this point? Okay, 10 years time, what is your cash flow at this point? Okay, what is your cash flow at this point? Give you a clue. Ah, it's the same. Okay, perfect. 293. Now, this is where it starts to get really interesting. Okay, and this is the whole investing recession proof, because has the value of the property affected the cash flow at all? Oh. Okay, has the value of the property affected the cash flow at all?
No, absolutely no.
No, absolutely not. So instead of the market going up by double, imagine you had the period where it was down and the market dropped by a record-breaking 25%. The property is now worth 75K. Would the value of the property affect the cash flow at all?
No.
No, not at all. Okay, because your cash flow is already set based on the mortgage amount you have. So is this or is this not, by definition, investing recession proof or at least recession resistant? Is that a fair statement? Okay. Now this is a very important thing that I want you to write down. Okay, very important. Cash flow is
king.
King. Excuse the terrible handwriting. Okay, cash flow is king. Write that down. Put stars and bells and whistles and goodness knows what else you need to put around it to make sure you remember this.